Since joining the border patrol, I've been having nightmares. This seemed like the only place I could talk about it. In the last one, I'm tracking somebody through the desert on a moonless night. My flashlight chases 2 pairs of footprints until I get to a clearing. Then the tracks end in the middle of the dirt. It doesn't make sense, but maybe the wind blew them away, or they were abducted by aliens, or maybe it's an ambush. Unsettled, I start to head back, fast. But then I trip on something in the dark dirt. My head hits the ground, and my flashlight flies into the brush away from me. As I try to get up, there's this resistance on my neck. I strain to lift my head, and the resistance becomes a force, a pull. Finally, I turn to see an ashy hand tugging at my collar, and it wants me to join it in the dirt. That's when I wake up and see it's just Steve pulling at my collar. Steve's my journeyman. We're at a port of entry on the US-Mexico border watching their live feeds all night. I must have fallen asleep. Look alive, Dom. We got bogeys. He points at a drone video feed, and I see a man, a woman, and a child at the fence. The man cuts a hole in it while the woman watches. The kid just sort of stares into the blackness. As I try to figure him out, he turns to the camera. Maybe it's because of the nightmare, but his blank face, quivering with black and white pixels, looks like a nest of worms to me. We hit the road. Tracking the sensor hits to our bogeys. Steve's been pissed at me ever since I put in my transfer to the asylum office, and the chief gave us midnights as punishment. Finally, he breaks the silence. You know, you'll do a lot more good out here than sitting at a desk, he says. I know, man, I know. So why quit? He asks, and now it's my turn to be mum. I'm not going to tell him about the nightmares and the guilt. When I told you I worked for Border Patrol, you probably imagined I was some racist white guy with a mustache. Actually, I'm Latino, so the guilt is 10 times worse. Is this about the guy we found? He presses. The guy is a migrant who ran out of water and drank his own piss for 5 days until his kidneys gave out. No man, it's not that. I got a girl up in Tucson and I want to be closer to her. I lie. Shoulda known, he smirks. You're a pussy for pussy. He swerves off the road onto the dirt. We're headed straight for the border now when the sensor hit stops moving. I rub my eyes to make sure it really isn't moving. Midnights haven't been kind to me. My nightmares seem to blend into reality. We track it to a spot 2 miles from the border. There's a body there collapsed in the dirt. Steve and I bolt out of the car. Flipping the body, it looks like the guy has been mauled by an animal. Deep gashes run down his face and chest, spilling sticky and glistening black blood onto the ground. A bloody hunting knife rests in the dirt beside him that he probably used to defend himself. Mountain lion, I asked Steve. He shines his light on the man's face, punctured with deep and violent stabs. Something bigger than that, he says. Steve traces a path with his torch up from the body to find 2 pairs of footprints running into the brush. A nauseating deja vu bubbles up inside of me. It looks exactly like my nightmare. Steve tries to radio, but all he gets is static. Let's hang back and call the cavalry, he says. There could be people hurt up there, I shoot back. I don't wait for his response. I have enough corpses on my conscience, so I draw my weapon and head into the brush. Steve follows behind. It's in there, where I can't see more than a few feet ahead of me, that I feel what it's like to be hunted. Not by an animal, but something worse. Something that puts my hair on edge. It's just karma, I think to myself, and the feeling passes as we emerge. Our flashlights chase up the footprints to converge on 2 figures huddled under a Apollo verd tree. It's a mother clutching her injured kid. I put my gun away, and thankfully they don't run as we approach. The kid looks in bad shape. His shirt is covered in blood, and he has a glassy deadness in his eyes. Does your boy need medical attention? I ask the terrified woman in Spanish. No, he's fine. Just scared, she replies in English. Do you have any weapons on you? Steve barks. No, nothing, she says. Search them, he orders me. I'm going to try and call this in. He steps away while I search and question the mom. Her name is Alma. She's from Nogales and ran away when a gang tried to kill her 11-year-old son, Juan. Examining the boy, I find the telltale bruises of a gang initiation and a tattoo peeking out from his sleeve. I hike it up a little to get a better look. It's a gothic cursive M that ends in a coiled devil's tail. I've seen it many times before. It's the sign Los Mares, the ultimate bad hombres. They're the guys who tat up their entire bodies with guns and skulls and demons. No wonder the poor kid looks like he's seen the devil. It's because he has. The boy pulls away from me and hugs his mom. We want asylum, she implores me. We can talk about that back at the station. I point to the brush. Can you tell me who the dead man is over there? He was our coyote. What happened to him? Alma clams up. Finally, she says, an animal got him. What kind of animal? Before she can answer, Steve returns with a bewildered look on his face. Dom, come listen to this. He twists the dial on his radio. It sounds like static to me, so I turn it up to the max. Just above the hiss, I can hear a man whispering. His words are lispy and don't sound like anything I've heard before. His breathless delivery sends a chill down my spine. Any idea what language that is? Pima, I offer. We're not far from the Tohono Res. Well, it's the only signal I can get out here. You mean you can't reach the station? Now my chill is cresting into panic. No, Steve says gravely. Maybe someone's jamming us. The cartels have gotten pretty high-tech, and we're sitting ducks out here. We both look at Alma and Juan with renewed suspicion. I bind their wrists with pull-string handcuffs, then we hike back to our car as fast as we can. The wind has picked up into a full howl, half covering the dead coyote in dirt. I help Alma and Juan into the back while Steve starts the car. What about the body? Leave it for tribal police, he says while he struggles with the GPS on the dash. This fucking thing can't find us. Let me see. I fiddle with the settings, but all I get is a blank map and the message, GPS signal not found. The headlights of our vehicle beam pathetically into the darkness, so maybe we see 30 feet of dirt. Without our GPS, we might as well be on the moon. Try restarting the car, I suggest. I'll try my phone. I pull up the Maps app and I get the same message, no signal. I even stick the phone out the window, but still nothing. Nothing on my phone either. What about you? Steve bangs on the dash in frustration. Nothing. Maybe the satellite is down. GPS is the US military. So unless World War III just started, then it's not the fucking satellite. Is everything okay? Alma asks from the back. Everything's okay, I say. Then why aren't we going? We need you to be quiet, ma'am, Steve snaps. What is the problem? Are we in danger? She insists, growing anxious. We have it under control. Now I need you to calm down, Steve orders. As they argue, I try to calm down the situation. But Juan seems completely numb to our conversation. He just stares ahead, past us. Suddenly, his eyes go wide. He points forward and screams. I whip my head to look out the front of our vehicle. What I see is more terrifying than any of my nightmares. I will do my best to describe it. It looks like a large tumbleweed bouncing across our headlights. But it's not a tumbleweed. It's too big, too round, and too black. Even though the light hits it dead on, it's pure black. And its outline isn't a perfect circle either. It quivers like it has hundreds of tiny hairs on it. You know, in high school biology they would show you what a virus looks like close up. That's what it looks like, except big enough to swallow you whole. At least, that's what I think it looks like. I can only see it for a few seconds before it bounces into the darkness. Did you see that? I shout. See what? Steve asks me, scared. Just drive. The car lurches forward. As we barrel away, Alma clutches her son and whimpers a prayer in Spanish. I check behind us, but I can't see anything other than desert. My heartbeat lowers, and I can finally think clearly. Was it all in my head? Then I remember going camping with my mom. She taught me how to navigate with the stars, and seeing the stars is one of the only things I like about this job. So we managed to follow the North Star to the road. Back at the station, I process Alma and Juan and take their fingerprints. The mysterious horror of the desert feels like a distant memory, washed away by the everyday horror of our bureaucracy. But I've been numb to that for a long time now. I bring Alma and Juan into Steve's office. They sit across from him, and I close the door. He takes a freshly printed document from his laser jet and starts a pitch I've heard 100 times before. I'm not sure what you've heard about our procedure, but I want to be 100% honest with you because the next decisions you make will have a big impact on you and your family. Now, are you comfortable with English, or do you want Agent Lopez to translate? English, Alma says, and I'm relieved. I hate this next part. Excellent. This is a temporary detention facility. In a few days, you'll be transferred to another larger facility to await trial. Your son will not be transferred with you because we are not allowed to hold him in detention. I will allow it, she interrupts. Please let me finish everything I have to say, Steve says sharply. I will get to your choices at the end. Do you understand? Yes. As I was saying, your son will not be transferred with you. You have committed a crime against the United States, and we prosecute every case without exception. The penalties are severe if you are found guilty. You can get up to 6 months jail time, after which you and your son will be deported and barred from legally re-entering the United States. But we want to apply for asylum. Yes, you can apply, but the odds of getting it are very low. Do you remember how many people get asylum from Mexico, Agent Lopez? Between 2 and 3%. Tears start to well up in her eyes. Steve's an excellent agent, and he knows how to use my good cop vibe to break people. Now, he goes in for the kill. But there is a way to avoid all this, he says as he pushes forward a document with all the grace of a Vegas magician. It basically says you volunteer to leave the United States. You sign this and we take you to a hotel tonight and put you on a plane tomorrow. You won't have anything on your record and you can still apply for asylum legally at a port of entry. We tried in Nogales, but they sent us back. We're working through the backlog as fast as we can. It won't be any better here. She pushes the contract back. We can't go back. They will kill my son. Steve maintains his smile, but now it has a sardonic hint. You are very tired. Take a night to sleep on it and you can tell me your final decision in the morning. He nods to me. Agent Lopez will take you to your cell. I escort them down a hallway filled with cells. They are all packed with migrants, but the last one only houses one other middle-aged woman, Maria. Even though it's 2 a.m., she's still up. We found her in the desert a few days ago, trying to bury her husband's body. They came all the way from Guatemala and they couldn't keep up with their coyote, so he cut them loose. Her husband gave her the last of their water, but then she couldn't bear to leave him when he died. Now, she sits on the bench and prays quietly on her rosary. I was raised Catholic. The desert convinced me there's no God out there, but I'm not so sure about the devil. I hand Alma a pair of mylar blankets for their bedding and open the cell. Juan refuses to go in. He doesn't say anything and just plants himself firmly in the concrete floor. Alma argues with him, then pulls him, then pushes him with all her might, but he doesn't budge. He just stares at Maria as she utters, El Señor es mi pastor, nada me faltará, en lugares de verdes pastos me hace descansar. And that's when Juan starts to hiss. Maria stops her prayer and turns around, white in the face. Her sudden silence soothes him, but Alma isn't relieved. Fear creeps into her eyes as she escorts him inside. I help Alma make a bed for Juan, then I close the cell. On the other side of the bars, she talks to me in Spanish. Do you like what you do? Her question gets me off guard, so I answer honestly, no. Then why do you do it? Because my mom's sick. She has cancer and this is the best job for miles. Do you think I'm a monster? I blurt out. It doesn't matter, she says. I commit a crime because my son will die, and you commit a crime because your mother will die. There is no real choice when your family is in danger. I turn to leave, unable to bear any more shame in front of her. But she calls to me again. But I have a choice. Should I take the deal? I froze. This isn't in Steve's script. I already feel so much guilt for my decisions that the weight of others will crush me. Forget it. Her eyes sink to the ground, and she turns to rejoin her son. I watch her crawl into her mylar blanket and close her eyes as Maria starts to pray again. Juan lies on the ground but doesn't sleep. He just glares at Maria with a snake-like hatred in his eyes, and part of me wonders if he'll hiss again. Or do something worse. I get home around 4 a.m., pop some Ambien, and get into bed. It's hard to fall asleep. There's another dead body seared into my memory, this one disemboweled by a black sphere of death. But then I feel a delicious buzz flood my brain. My mind finally stops racing. I can close my eyes. And that's when I hear it. A hiss. It's coming from under the bed. At first, I don't think it's real. I'm dreaming. And like a dream, I'm not in control of my own body. I hang my head over the bed to look underneath. Down there, something slithers in the darkness. Hissing again, it sounds just like one. So now I know I must be dreaming. The black quivering mass moves toward me, and suddenly I'm face to face with a snake. It bares its fangs, and it takes every survival instinct in my brain stem to pull me away from its bite. I watch the snake slither out from under my bed. It silently moves across the room and through the open screen door to the outside. Here's the part that terrifies me. I can't tell the difference between my nightmares and my life anymore. Thank you to my superfans, Sweet Black Swan, Tacy, and Brooklyn. I really appreciate you guys supporting my channel, and I look forward to making more content for everyone.